You decide you want to dress better, and right away you run to the first obstacle. Where can I even get good quality clothing? I believe I speak for all men here when saying that we lose our desire and maybe even our temper very quickly if we have to go to dozens of stores to even get a few items, let alone build a whole wardrobe. That is exactly why I've done the work for you over the last 15 years, and I've put together the 10 best brands where you can get everything you need for your basic wardrobe at a great price-performance ratio even. We'll start with the smaller budget, slowly work our way up, and then of course talk about why I would avoid some of the most well-known brands like H&M, Zara, Hugo Boss and Tommy Hilfiger. And as always, you'll find all the relevant brands linked in the video description below. Let's start with the absolute basics, low prices and one of the best price-performance ratios, Uniqlo. Uniqlo is a Japanese brand that opened its doors in Hiroshima in 1984 under the name Unique Clothing Warehouse and has grown enormously since then, as the brand has focused on simple, high-quality, everyday clothing that you can easily incorporate into your individual wardrobe. Uniqlo is like an IKEA for basic wardrobes. You simply can't avoid it if you want to furnish a new wardrobe from scratch. But one tiny difference to our Swedish Pressboard Pro, at least you don't have to sew the clothes together yourself. But all jokes aside, what is the brand good at? I can especially recommend the sweaters and cardigans, some of which are even made from lamb's wool. And the heat tech products for winter are also very solid. But my favorite products are the jackets, because the ultralight down vests and jackets feel phenomenal, but also the down parkas and rain jackets are exactly what we need for the colder seasons. And I'm not saying that for advertising reasons, but because I own and use every one of these products myself. And you know what? If we hit 1,000 subscribers, we could do the outro in my long heat tech underpants, which I love for winter. It's not that the brand isn't good in a certain field, but I would recommend that you only buy individual items here. I definitely wouldn't buy everything from the brand because it is a bit too minimalistic and therefore kind of lacks a little, I would say, soul and the spice for your wardrobe, you know? That's why we'll continue with another favorite of mine, Massimo Dutti. Where does the brand come from? Massimo Dutti was founded in 1985 by Armando Lazauco in Barcelona and made a name for itself with menswear, especially shirts, until the brand was bought by the Inditex group, which also owns Zara, for example. But the difference for me is quite clear. Massimo Dutti starts where Zara ends in terms of quality and aesthetics. Massimo Dutti is much more durable and the products are definitely more timeless in terms of styling. But no question, we're talking about a fast fashion brand here, so we can't really talk about great quality, you know? Nevertheless, individual pieces are very solid and can definitely elevate your outfit enormously when properly integrated. What I like most about it is the basic wardrobe character and the timeless designs as well as subtle colors. The focus is on understatement, which is simply important for our basics. What I can specifically highly recommend are the shoes from Massimo Dutti, which are fashionable, but not too fashionable and crazy. For example, the Espadrille versions, the more elegant shoes, but also boots for the winter. Otherwise, their jackets, such as leather jackets, are usually well done, as well as the thicker knitwear, such as cardigans and half zips. But the casual Oxford shirts are also very good. Concerning the leather jackets, I think they're a great alternative for a few years while saving up for one that should last a lifetime. If you're interested in a guide for leather jackets, just let me know in the comments. Personally, I think that the business shirts aren't as good because of the details in the fabric. The collar is too small and the fabric often has like a paperish feel to it, making them look rather cheap in comparison to aforementioned items. And you should definitely also stay away from the thin knitwear with this kind of patterns. And trust me, I speak from experience with various style consulting customers throwing those out in bunches. And please avoid the same with every other manufacturer out there. Massimo Dutti is one of the brands where I visit the stores almost every time I'm in town and I always find something. Therefore, this should definitely be one of your first stops. Why shouldn't you dress completely in the brand? Because it's too obvious that it's an Inditex run brand and the quality of a complete Massimo Dutti look is just not convincing. I would pick out individual pieces and combine them with very high quality highlights, which I'll come back to in a moment. Next up is Asket. Where does the brand come from? Asket was founded in 2015 by the Swedish fellow students August Bringus and Jacob Dworsky. What I love about the brand is their very strong principles and values, which basically function as their compass to where the brand is supposed to head in the future. What they want is end fast fashion and mass consumption. On their website it says, "We don't design for seasons, we create for forever. When something is broken, we mend it. Our definition of progress is reduced wardrobe." And that is powerful. They also don't participate in Black Friday sales because of exactly those reasons. Really cool. Asket is a very minimalistic and basic brand, actually quite like Massimo Dutti, but with greater transparency, more sustainability, and even better quality. Overall, very well made items, which is is why the brand is mid-range price, even though everything is very basic. But everything makes sense looking at the brand's vision of August and Jacob. What is the brand good at? I think the Oxford shirts are nice, the jeans very solid, and the knitwear pieces like long sleeve polos are great. Also, I really like that they do super basic underwear. Actually, that is something I just found out during my research and was scrolling through the website. Because one of my pet peeves is that underwear almost always comes with the logo on the rubber band. Why though? And what is the brand less good at? It's the same as with Uniqlo here. It's not that they're not good at something. I just think building an entire wardrobe from Asket simply is too simple and kind of lacks of charisma in the overall appearance. By the way, if you like their aesthetics, want it a little less expensive, and you don't mind a large corporation like H&M in the background, go with Asket. Their aesthetics and products are almost congruent, just that Asket has a greater selection. So just remember Asket and Asket. Asket sounds crazy. Asket. By the way, if you're interested in learning more, subscribe to my paid newsletter, which is linked in the top of my video description. On a weekly basis, I go into detail explaining all sorts of topics, go into detail of how styling works, and give outfit inspiration together with matching shopping links. Next up is Charles Tyrwhitt. Where does the brand come from? The brand was founded in 1986 by then student Nick Wheeler, whose full name is Nick Charles Tyrwhitt Wheeler, while he was a student at Bristol University in England. I had to research the correct pronunciation because there were many different opinions, so I found a 7-year-old Facebook post saying the name is Tyrwhitt, pronounced Tyrwhitt, to rhyme with spirit. Personally, I didn't even know. I was always calling it Charles Tyrwhitt, and I thought that's correct and everyone else is not correct, so that's how it goes sometimes. He founded the company Charles Tyrwhitt Shirts because he was convinced that he could produce a shirt better than anybody else, and started the whole thing as a mail order company. He opened the first and today's flagship store in 1997 on London's Jermyn Street. Since then, the brand has prospered into one of England's biggest men's outfitters and also offers knitwear, suits and shoes now. What is the brand good at? Well, probably no surprise, but the brand is known for its shirts. Especially interesting for you guys is the price structure, as they mostly work with bundle deals, resulting in amazing prices per shirt. I can only highly recommend their knitwear products, and I absolutely adored my Charles Tyrwhitt. I also want to say Tyrwhitt again. I can only highly recommend their knitwear products, and I absolutely adored my Charles Tyrwhitt tassel loafers that I actually once purchased on eBay years back. What is the brand less good at? Personally, I just haven't tested the suits and jackets, to be honest, which is why I cannot comment on that. If one of you has feedback for us, that would be very valuable to get. All I can say is that the chinos are not that well made, and also you have to figure out your size in the shirts first before going all in on stocking up. Their slim fit shirts often rather fit like a regular fit. But great customer service, and if issues occur, they're there to help. Overall, Charles Tyrwhitt is phenomenal if you're looking to upgrade your business wardrobe on a budget, as they exclusively produce quality and timeless pieces of classic menswear. I'll personally never be a fan of those super colorful socks, but maybe that's just me. Next up is No Label. No Label is another great tip. On the one hand, because the selection really is very good and the prices are fantastic, but also because the history of the brand is very exciting. This leads me to, where does the brand come from? Michael van den Broek, the founder of No Label, only sold his expertise in sourcing, which means finding materials and producers, as well as the actual production behind it, to larger companies for over 20 years. As he was very well connected and had more knowledge about production than most other brands, he simply decided to make his own brand and founded No Label. What is the brand good at? Their knitwear is great, but so are their vests, their duffel coat and sneakers. In my opinion, this is one of the best options for you if you want high quality but affordable clothing from a brand that knows better than anyone else how to produce great quality products for its customers. There are no specific items of clothing that they don't do well. I would say that again, it is a brand you can buy all sorts of basics from, but I wouldn't recommend going for full No Label outfits. It's just too basic, so it's the mix that will do the trick. And you might ask yourself, well, is there even a brand you could recommend for full outfits then? Sure there is. If money wouldn't be an issue, that would absolutely be Tom Sweeney or Brunello Cucinelli. But more about that some other time. Just so you know that I'm not using empty arguments. Next up is J.Crew. Where does the brand come from? J.Crew was founded in 1947 by Mitchell Sinider and Saul Charles. Back then it was a mail order retailer just like Charles Tyrwhitt, where you could only order via catalog or post. Those were the days. Back then, J.Crew wanted to offer more fashionable, chic clothing than all the other mail order retailers and still be more accessible than Ralph Lauren. What is the brand good at? Ralph Lauren is a good keyword, I would say here, because I would say J.Crew is exactly this accessible version of Ralph Lauren, like his little brother. I can particularly recommend their Oxford shirts, they're great. I also think the chinos are very good. I recently bought a pair of olive chinos there. And the knitwear is absolutely great too. I can only recommend either visiting the website or going to an offline store. We've got one in Miami, the Dolphin Mall. There is a J.Crew outlet, which I absolutely love. What is the brand less good at? That's quite hard to say. I would say that I wouldn't necessarily buy complete suits there, as they're quite basic and you'll get more for your money at brands I'm talking about later on. And what I realized with J.Crew is that the consistency of quality isn't really given. Some items are just perfect, like the shirts, the jeans and chinos, for example. Then again, there are a few pieces that aren't quite as well made in terms of fabric. But it's rather random, there's no product category I would sort out. However, you could say that the collections vary greatly. Some pieces are super cool and some shirts have a pattern that are short sleeved, like our old math and physics teachers used to wear. But just like I said, if you visit a store in person or you go to it online and go through everything roundly, you'll definitely find great pieces. A very cool American prep brand that I probably right now buy the most items at. And by the way, you are cordially invited to share your best tips and experiences in the comments. Hey, and by the way, you have to help me out. Is it really true that you can only comment on the videos by activating the comment section with the like button? Is that true? Or was that the subscription button? Next up is Sir of Sweden and Oscar of Sweden. Sir of Sweden is one of my most favorite brands, especially when it comes to suits, to coats and to shirts. The brand was founded in 1925 by Walter Ljungström and his mother Hilma, because at the age of 18, Walter wasn't old enough in terms of the Swedish law to found his own company. They made their first items in their living room until the brand was big enough to have its own production facility. He therefore chose the name Sir, as this was intended to reflect the well-tailored, noble style of English gentlemen. Today, the company is run by his grandchildren and the basic principles of Walter continue to be practiced, to offer men's fashion with the highest possible craftsmanship. What is the brand good at? I can especially recommend the brand suits and the jackets. Great cuts, great fabrics at a reasonable pricing. The coats and the pants are also absolutely highlights, so definitely don't sleep on them. The brand doesn't have a huge collection variety, but that speaks for the fact that they focus all the more on the individual items. And of course, their shirts are also excellent. I've known Max Ljungström and Johan Salomonsson from the brand for years and am therefore already very close to the product. I recently tried the shirts and I have to be honest, I think they're quite close to Eton, especially if you consider the huge price gap. They've also transferred their expertise in shirts to their new brand called Oscar of Sweden, where you can get really great business shirts for good money. Remember, Sir of Sweden and Oscar of Sweden. But I mean, it's not like the brands aren't already linked below, you know? What is the brand less good at? Personally, I'm just not a fan of tennis and logos, so the tennis collection wouldn't be it for me. And the colorful printed ones from Oscar aren't my taste either. But it's a matter of taste and maybe you'll like it. Buck Mason. This is a brand that in a year or two from now might be one of your staples. Buck Mason was founded in 2013 in Venice, California by Sasha Cohen and Eric Allen Ford, operating out of a 350 square foot garage. They started out with locally made jeans and t-shirts, around which the brand slowly evolved, releasing one perfect piece after another. By refining clothing that Americans worn for generations, they're creating elevated pieces that have the beautiful touch of American craftsmanship to them. What is the brand good at? To be honest with you, I've rarely come across a brand that offers such a perfect curated collection as Buck Mason. You'll find amazing jeans made of the best Japanese sourced denim, you've got heavy pre-shrunk cotton t-shirts, amazing blazers, coats, leather jackets. This might be the one brand that has it all. I hope you guys do know that this video is in no way sponsored, right? Because with Buck Mason, I just couldn't find anything worth mentioning. I really am amazed with what they've built in the last years. Next up is Suit Supply. Where does the brand come from? Suit Supply is a Dutch brand that was founded in the early 2000s by 26-year-old law student Fokke de Jong by selling suits from the trunk of his Renault. Suits with an Italian design made of good fabrics but at affordable prices. Exactly what the company still does and what I love it for. In the meantime, Suit Supply has expanded its collections to include coats, knitwear, pants and shoes, and I have to say, I'm a big fan. I've been a customer of the brand for about 11 years now and can recommend just about everything. What is the brand good at? Suit Supply can offer suits with fabrics from the best weaving mills because, just like Aldi or Trader Joe, Suit Supply can offer suits Suit Supply can offer suits with fabrics from the best weaving mills because, just like the grocery store Aldi does with wine, they buy the fabrics in huge quantities and have correspondingly lower purchase prices. If you don't need suits, I would still highly recommend buying your highlights, for example coats and basic knitwear there. The designs are just very Italian in terms of wide lapels, partially AMF stitching on suits and coats, and you've got Neapolitan shoulders on suits. Especially in that price range, I think Suit Supply is extremely hard to beat. What is the brand less good at? What I personally find less good are the shirts. I just don't like the feel and the thickness of the fabric, so I prefer to go for Surf Sweden or Oscar of Sweden. The shoes aren't bad on their own, but in my opinion you can get something better for a little more than the price from a specialist like Merquist, Morias or Merman. Of course, also linked below. Last but not least, Pini Parma. Where does the brand come from? Pini Parma is a step up from Suit Supply, so to speak, because all products are 100% made in Italy and the fabrics used are of the highest quality. The brand was founded in France in 2017 by Thomas Pini, who was born in Italy and grew up in France. He worked for the Italian brand Boggi Milano for many years and has incorporated his expertise into his own brand. What is the brand good at? The focus on details and fabric is what sets them apart from others. A Pini Parma suit just looks absolutely high class, and so do their pleated trousers with side adjusters and the double off-center buttoning. I also like their work with different materials and cuts on their jackets, such as the bomber jackets made of suede and then cotton sleeves. Pini Parma is just that little bit more detailed than Suit Supply, as you can see with the pants, which is why I would always recommend checking them out if you're looking for something that has the Italian details, Brunello Cucinelli aesthetics, but doesn't require the Cucinelli budget. I mean, basically no one has the Cucinelli budget. That's just nonsense, but that's another topic for the future. What is the brand less good at? It's not that they're not good at it, but I just don't feel any passion if it comes to their shoes. Again, I would go with experts in that regard, like the aforementioned Merquist, Morias and Merman. And just to name two more brands that I have on my radar to check out, that is Banana Republic and Bonobos. I did intense research on both and especially looking forward to trying out Banana Republic. But as of right now, I haven't had any items from them yet, so I don't want to drivel about brands that didn't go through my highly intense German quality testing funnel, you know? If you have any feedback to those brands, let us know in the comments, please. And now let's briefly talk about which brands I would not recommend. These include H&M, Zara, Tommy Hilfiger and Hugo Boss. Zara and H&M because they're, in my opinion, too focused on fast fashion and mainly produce throwaway clothing instead of making genuinely good product. Zara has specialized in replicating runway fashion and the hottest trends, but as cheaply as possible. Unfortunately, you can see this in the details, the feel of the fabrics and the durability. Zara and H&M clothes are made to last 1 or 2 seasons, but then they're definitely done and you have to buy new ones. That's exactly what we want to avoid as much as possible. Of course, you can always find 1 or 2 cool items there, but that's rare and not worth it. Zara and H&M are cool for boys, but at some point they just don't fit for men anymore. And yeah, I think that's a very definite closing statement. But it's my opinion too, so yeah, don't sue me. Just being honest. Imagine. Arrested. Funny. Tommy Hilfiger is also out of the question for me because the brand doesn't have its own DNA and also doesn't promise the quality that the price promises. It feels like the brand reinvents itself every 3 years and the never out of stock items are very basic and then again too expensive for that. I'd rather go with Ralph Lauren if you can somehow avoid the loud branding. And Hugo Boss, yeah, their time is simply over. The brand used to be good and you can still find great quality second-hand pieces, but the quality has gone down a lot, yet the prices have stayed the same or even gone up. When a brand spends so much money on their advertising campaigns, getting the most famous and on-trend people in the world on board, you should know that in the end, you are the ones who have to bear the budget for these advertising costs. Boss just isn't what it used to be. Period. And to squeeze out the last bit of extra value out of this video, all that's left is for you to add your own 2 cents and share your favorite brands and tips. Because that's how a simple video becomes a real treasure chest of knowledge, which is exactly what we need. I thank each and every one of you for participating and look forward to tackling your personal style together. And now, after summing up all the brands that were mentioned today, we've in total talked about 10 in depth, and I gave you 6 more great brands to look up. Merquist, Merman, Morias, Bonobos, Banana Republic and Asket. That, my dear friends, is a 50% increase than what's promised in the video's headline. Crazy, right? Considering that so many videos on YouTube nowadays have clickbaity thumbnails and the video titles overpromise and the video underdelivers, pointing out good reasons that you should maybe watch more of my videos. And since we're at it, a good reason to follow me is my very sexy, attractive, and highly desirable Pokemon collection. I briefly teasered that one in my previous videos, and I have to say it really doesn't disappoint. Bright shoe. I don't know the English expressions. Those are all first edition. Can you please zoom in? Gotta send these bad boys to PSA at the end of the month. It's an expensive hobby though. It's like driving a vintage Porsche, just without the horsepower, the prestige, and yeah, the chicks too. Well, never mind, I'm married anyways. Thanks for watching and welcome to a world where we draw a very fine line between fashion education and geeky hobbies. See you next time. I love Pokemon. I would love to wake up to the Pokemon theme every morning, but I think my wife is gonna hate me for it. That's how heroes are born. See you.